Hi, everyone. Hope you and your families all had a great summer. I know it's been a while since my last update, but I wanted to get you some current local data as we head into the fall. A lot of people have been asking lately about shifts in the market, interest rates, how things have been trending in the area. So, as always, I'll try to keep it brief but informative, and please reach out for any further details or if I can help with anything. All right, for our market updates, some of the common metrics I like to keep an eye on when assessing the market are new listings, average and median sale prices, percent of list price received, and month supply, which is the inventory levels which relate to basic supply and demand trends and affect the prices. Quick review on month supply. If that number is 2, that means if no new listings were to come on the market, it would take 2 months for everything to sell and have no new houses available. So a 4 to 6 month supply is typically what would be considered a balanced market. We've been well under that for a long time, which we know, but let's look at the specific trends going on right now. All right, our current month supply as a 12-month average is the highest it's been in 5 years, actually, going back to November 2020, and it's at 1.2. Still, obviously, very unbalanced and pretty far from that 4 to 6 month supply, but we continue to slowly trend back towards something a little more realistic. Buyers will appreciate that, having a little bit more inventory to choose from, and sellers are still in fantastic shape from all the quick equity that has been built in the past 5+ years. So here's a look at that current month supply data. So you can see that line continuing to very slowly creep up. Again, you'll see the yellow line on there is Niagara County. So a little bit better supply in Niagara County than Erie, and still very low, but hopefully headed in the right direction as it has been in the past few years towards a little bit more balanced our market. Average percent of list price received continues to hold very steady. It's at 106% on the rolling average over the past 12 months and has been there since November of 2023, after peaking at almost 109% back in the summer of 2022. What I always find more interesting is seeing how that percentage tends to jump in the spring and summer months and dip in the winter. So this is a pretty clear graphic showing that kind of yearly roller coaster. That can be helpful for those that want to and or can time the market, buying or selling. But I always maintain that family needs are the most important, and trying to time the market isn't always a sure thing, and doesn't always work for everybody. But you can see the peaks and the valleys in the spring and summer months and the winter months, and it's just a really interesting and clear illustration how that does tend to work. Now, the average and median sale prices. The Erie County median sale price 12-month average is $280,000. That's up 5.7% from last year, so it continues to go up year to year. And the average sale price in Erie County is $331,000, and that's also up about 6% from last year. So this graph shows how that average has increased over the years. We've been following this, and it's basically doubled since 2016, and that goes back to what I mentioned earlier about quick equity being gained by sellers over the last few years. So that's really a pretty solid increase. So that is where we are currently. The current trends of the past few years have been continuing. That's low supply and high demand, which continue to make it a competitive market for buyers and generally quite a good market for sellers. That said, there have been cases lately of good properties remaining available longer than expected. So sometimes it's an issue of poor marketing or overpricing, which are related. Other times it's been harder to explain. But if you find an overpriced house or one that's been sitting, don't be afraid to call me and go see it. And if you like it, get an offer in before that price reduction happens. Many sellers are more likely to negotiate positively before a price reduction than right after, and they're feeling it. So this first reduction often spurs new competition as well, which can be a seller tactic, but it's often a good idea if a house has been sitting for a while, it's been overpriced, to get in there and try and negotiate before they decide to adjust their price and reopen it kind of back up to a new buyer pool. All right, so I always try to also give you some quick home ownership tips during these updates. So this time, this was recently pointed out by a colleague of mine who's an excellent realtor, that I'm stealing from him because it's great info. I've been on a lot of showings with buyers to properties that have those fiber cement, asbestos-containing shingles as siding, and concerns are always discussed. And I typically remind them, and it's not the most attractive siding, but it's generally low maintenance. It's paintable, and really not a health hazard as long as it's in good shape and you don't have airborne material. We know the primary use for asbestos is a flame retardant, and there was recently a fire in this guy's neighborhood, and the house next door to the fire was basically saved by those asbestos siding tiles. So if you have it, maybe think twice before getting rid of it or covering up. And don't worry too much about buying a property that has it. It's very common in our area, and it's all over the place. But these are a couple pictures so you can kind of see what I'm talking about here. Along those lines, buy a couple of these fire blankets on Amazon and keep them in the house. They cost almost nothing. This is a 4-pack for under $20, so you can have one on each floor or one in every room. Another friend of mine avoided a pretty serious problem with one of these when her air fryer went up in flames in her kitchen. Threw the blanket on top of it, and it saved what could have been a pretty serious issue. So check those out and grab some of those at some point if you don't have them. All right, that will do it for this update. Thank you all for your continued relationships and referrals and support. As always, never hesitate to reach out if there is anything I can do for you, any family members, friends, or of course, just to say hello or grab coffee or lunch. I always love catching up and seeing how everybody's doing. So take care, enjoy the fall, and I will be in touch with another update towards the end of the year and hopefully some other good info along the way. So go Bills. See you later.